Today on Blue World, Jonathan explores a rarely seen cave in Florida. But first, he travels with his whole family to South Australia to meet the world's largest cuttlefish. Meet Jonathan Bird, one of the world's top underwater nature cinematographers. Traveling the world on assignment for all the major networks, he is an Emmy Award-winning authority on the underwater world. In freshwater or salt, reefs, wrecks, or caves, Jonathan documents the world beneath the waves. Welcome to the Blue World.
The Australian giant cuttlefish is the largest cuttlefish in the world, reaching a total length of nearly a meter. Using color-changing skin cells called chromatophores, this mysterious master of camouflage can be very hard to see. But this curious cephalopod may just come over to see you. Between May and August, tens of thousands of these cuttlefish aggregate to spawn in the waters of South Australia. One particular place, Point Lowly, near the city of Whyalla, is known around the world as the place to see Australian giant cuttlefish. It's summer vacation for our kids, so Christine and I are taking them on an Australian adventure to meet the cuttlefish. The kids have been on dive trips before, but this is their first trip all the way to Australia, with 2 12-hour flights and a stop in Dubai. At last, we make it to Adelaide, South Australia, with all our luggage ready for an adventure. We load the minivan and then embark on a 6-hour drive to the beautiful and remote town of Point Lowly, located on a peninsula with a lighthouse at the end. We drive down the peninsula looking for a famous shore diving site. But before we go diving, we need to find our home for the next few days. We rented a house on the beach, about a mile from the dive site. And what a spot! As the sun sets over the lighthouse, we plan for our dive with the cuttlefish tomorrow. We hop in the van for the short ride down the street to the dive site. Christine and I are ready for the 12 degrees Celsius water with our dry suit undergarments ready to go. A dirt road leads down to the water. I've never seen such nice provisions for divers. A pavilion for changing and rinsing gear, plus a walkway right down to the water. It doesn't get any better than this. So we waste no time getting suited up. Summer at home is winter in Australia, and the brisk wind here comes off Antarctica. It's sunny, but it's not warm. Elise and Liam are in wetsuits, so they're not going to last long in this water before they're cold. But they came all the way to Australia to see some cuttlefish, so they're ready. We walk down into waist-deep water and put on our fins. Then we only have to swim out a little ways to get into water deep enough to submerge. We start seeing cuttlefish immediately. In fact, it turns out that most of them are in water no more than 4 meters deep. You really don't even need dive gear. You could see them with a snorkel. We have definitely crashed the party. 2 big males are engaged in a dance-off. Each one is trying to look more colorful and flamboyant than the other. These non-violent battles are all about impressing the females and intimidating rival males. They keep an eye on us, but mostly they keep an eye on each other, trying to see who has the better colors. Color-changing cells in the cuttlefish's skin are normally used for camouflage, but during the mating season they're used like a neon sign to advertise awesomeness. Sometimes tempers flare and the males take a swing at each other. But eventually, if he's lucky and persistent, a male attracts the attention of a female. The females are easy to identify because they're much smaller than the males. Once he has a willing female partner, the male must still fend off other males looking to try stealing her away. Later, the male and female will mate. But even then, there's no privacy, and the pair still has to keep an eye out for other males on the prowl. Sometimes the big males get so preoccupied with showing off that they fail to notice smaller males sneaking in behind their backs to mate with the females. These smaller males, aptly called sneakers, are often quite successful. Eventually, the female deposits her fertilized eggs in deep holes under rocks, where they will be safe from at least some predators. They will hatch in 3 to 5 months. Sadly, because the cuttlefish do not eat at all during the spawning season, they get weaker and weaker, slowly metabolizing their own bodies to stay alive. Once the mating is done and the eggs are laid, all the cuttlefish die. Although the cuttlefish spawning is still going strong, the kids are getting cold, so it's time to head out of the water. Back at the house, I find a cuttlebone on the beach. Since I'm finding cuttlebones on the beach behind our house, that gets me thinking. I suit up for a shore dive to find out if there are any cuttlefish here. The wind has come up. It will be a little surgy underwater, but I don't need to go far. They're either here or they aren't. I submerge as soon as I get deep enough to swim and kick out over a rocky bottom. So far, there's nothing to see but rocks. When I reach a depth of about 3 meters, I enter a zone of algae and rope sponges. So far, no cuttlefish. Wait a minute, what's that? There's one. And another. And another. This place is crawling with them. They like the depths around 10 feet deep, just like at the other dive site, and there's definitely nothing magical about that particular site. This whole bay is filled with cuttlefish. They are mating and depositing eggs. After a few minutes, I head back to the beach and carefully trudge out of the ocean, trying not to trip. My mission? A success. The Point Lowly region in South Australia is a wonder of nature. It's the only place in the world where large numbers of giant Australian cuttlefish are known to aggregate and spawn. For someone traveling from the other side of the world, it's a long trip, but it's worth it to witness such an amazing spectacle of the blue world.
Don't go away. Jonathan is going cave diving.
Once again, I've come to cave country in Florida for an epic adventure. Cameraman Zach and I are heading over to Blue Grotto, one of the most popular dive training locations in North Florida. It's perfect for diver training because it's almost like a really deep swimming pool with crystal clear warm water. But there's another secret part of the Blue Grotto I'm going to get to see today, and it's only available to certified cave divers. The adventure begins when I meet up with Kevin Tate, the head dive instructor and my guide for the day. We're going to start with a dive in the main grotto to check out the training facility. I don't need cave diving gear for this dive, but it's what I've brought. Divers enter the water at Blue Grotto by just jumping off the dock. Then we can submerge down to the first platform. It's easy to see why this is such a popular place for dive training. The water's crystal clear. We get our cameras focused and head on down into the cavern. I really want to check out the air bell, which is a famous feature of Blue Grotto. The air bell is held to the ceiling of the cavern by the powerful buoyancy of all that air. They constantly pump fresh air down to it, so I know it's safe to breathe inside. It's really weird to pop my head up into a dry space underwater. Zach comes up inside too, and we can have a conversation, although we can't really think of anything to say.
So this is weird. We're inside this thing underwater. The fish are looking at us. Hey, what's up, fish?
Next, we take a trip down to the deepest part of the grotto. It's a little bit like cave diving, but we can still see light from above, so technically it's a cavern. If you go to the very bottom, you can meet the mermaid. Then it's back up to the shallows and the light. At the second platform, 3 rebreather divers are doing some training. We have a look around. Even though it seems like a pool, this is really more like a small pond, so it has fish. I also get to meet Virgil, the famous and friendly resident soft-shell turtle who comes out to meet almost every diver. He's adorable and curious. Zach and I spend about 15 minutes just filming him as he models for us. After the dive, Kevin shows me the entrance to the secret cave section of the facility.
So it's underwater, you can't get through. It's all.
Next, it's time to dive. I follow Kevin down through the low cave entrance. almost as soon as we enter the main cave, we find the bathtub. It definitely would not have been as nice an air bell as the clear one over in the grotto. We continue past a PVC pipe, which is actually a water well. Whoever drilled that well definitely struck water. As we follow the guideline deeper into the cave, I notice a very thick layer of super fine sediment on the rocks. Just to demonstrate, divers need to be extremely careful in here because a careless fin kick could create a visibility nightmare. We're careful to keep our feet high away from all that silt. 300 feet from the entrance, we reach the end of the line. There are 3 different routes back, with each of the arrows pointing a unique path. Kevin takes the middle route so he can take us to the most famous resident of this cave. It's on top of a giant mound of rocks and silt. Is it a cave crayfish? A blind cavefish? It's an action figure. On the way out, we eventually cross paths with our route in. Our bubbles hitting the ceiling have knocked loose some silt which is raining down. You definitely get better shots on the way in.
That was great.
The Blue Grotto is definitely one of the wildest, most unique places I have visited as a diver. An air bell, a mermaid, a cave king, and a curious turtle are just part of the fun at Blue Grotto.
Today on Blue World, Jonathan takes his kids on their first wreck dive. But first, he goes critter hunting at night in the Philippines. Meet Jonathan Bird, one of the world's top underwater nature cinematographers. Traveling the world on assignment for all the major networks, he is an Emmy Award-winning authority on the underwater world. In freshwater or salt, reefs, wrecks, or caves, Jonathan documents the world beneath the waves. Welcome to the Blue World.
I love filming interesting and unusual marine life. Some of the most amazing marine life can be found on sandy or muddy seafloors. This environment, without rocks or reefs for shelter and protection, forces animals to develop creative ways of evading predators and catching food. In the diving world, these habitats are jokingly known as muck, so this kind of diving is called muck diving. And some of the best muck diving in the world can be found in the Philippines. I've come to the Atlantis Dive Resort in Dumaguete for some amazing muck diving. The dive sites are only minutes from our beautiful beachfront resort. I've already done a few muck dives and seen some really interesting animals, But tonight, I'm going to go see what can be found after dark. I grab my camera and sink down to the shallow seafloor covered in seagrass. Immediately, I spot a small cuttlefish hiding behind a fan algae. Looking like two tufts of poofy algae, a pair of ambon scorpionfish are easily missed if they don't move. Luckily for them, plankton and tiny shrimp are attracted to my dive lights like moths to a flame. As I move in for a shot of the scorpionfish, they feast on the shrimp that I bring to them. Not everyone loves my lights, though. A crab is trying to get away from me for some privacy. It has caught a smaller crab for dinner. It's a crab-eat-crab world. Cannibalism is alive and well in the muck. Nearby, an orange sponge, and on it, a tiny frogfish no bigger than a thumb. With a lure the size of a sewing needle, this little frogfish is hoping to attract some tiny prey. Missed. Got one. Got another one. On the sandy slope, I discover a tiny section of coral reef. And on the coral, a larger frogfish, on the prowl for a good hunting spot. Swimming is not the frogfish's forte. Back out on the sand, I find a bobtail squid, which is technically a tiny cuttlefish. She too is preparing to hunt with a stealthy muck camouflage. A train of 3 sea hares, a type of nudibranch, is crawling along. I have no idea what's going on here, but I'm betting it's related to reproduction. Nudibranchs are everywhere I look. Nudibranch means naked gill, and this is a perfect example. The tuft of leafy projections are the gills. Then I find a murex snail cruising across the muck. While I have seen the shells in museums, this is the first time I've ever seen a living specimen. This predatory snail has spikes on its shell for protection while it hunts for clams. It drills a hole through the clamshell and then sucks its guts out. This is one tough customer. The Murex's cousin, the tiger cowrie, is a snail with a different life strategy. It extends its mantle like a skin over its shell to keep the shell clean and prevent parasites like barnacles from hanging on. Beneath the mantle is a shiny, smooth shell. This snail eats algae and sponges. Nearby, another clam eater. The smooth box crab uses mighty claws to crush its prey, then poops it out. Another crab, another strategy. This hermit crab not only has a strong snail shell for protection, but a crop of powerful stinging anemones living on the shell. It's a lot of baggage to carry around, but with this defense mechanism, the crab is afraid of nothing. One zap from the anemone tentacles is enough to scare off a moray eel. Take that! But that doesn't mean that morays are pushovers. A moray on the hunt is a formidable predator. With a slippery and maneuverable body, the moray can investigate every crack in the reef for a sleeping fish. Almost no place is safe. But the octopus is the master of grabbing fish from their hiding places. With 8 busy arms, every single crack and hiding spot will be checked. Aha! Got something! Now to find some dessert. A blue Lynchia sea star is slowly cruising along the bottom, munching on algae. But look closer, and it has a moocher. A tiny shrimp that lives its whole life on the sea star, eating its mucus and droppings. Because there isn't much reef around, the fish that live here often have to sleep right out in the open. They rely on the cover of darkness for safety. Lots of animals that feed on plankton, like crinoids and brittle stars, come out at night because the plankton comes up from the depths. A tube anemone snares plankton with sticky tentacles, as does orange cup coral. As I head back to the boat at the end of the dive, I'm visited by a curious sea turtle who seems to be interested in the excitement. But once he figures out that it's just some boring guy with a camera, he swims back into the darkness. A night dive makes you work up an appetite, So it's back to the resort for some dinner.
Woohoo! That was awesome!
My dive buddies Marty Snyderman and cameraman Zach had a great time too. Muck diving is one of my favorite activities because you just never know what crazy animals you're going to find. And at night, the action continues with a different cast of characters all going about their business. Night diving might seem a little spooky, but it's a fascinating way to explore the blue world.
Don't go away. Jonathan and the family go wreck diving in Bermuda.
Bermuda, known around the world for its gorgeous pink sand beaches and crystal clear waters. It's also one of the premier luxury destinations for North America. And it's only a 2-hour flight from Boston. So, for February school vacation, the Bird family is going on another diving adventure. I don't even have enough time to watch a full movie before
We're in Bermuda.
Since Bermuda is so small, they don't rent cars to tourists. So we grab a cab to our condo.
Zach, you're on the roof.
It's a 5-minute ride from the airport to the town of St. George's. The next day, we set out to explore the island tourist style. Scootering is a Bermuda tradition, and it's a super fun way to get around if you don't need to carry too much stuff. The island is only 20 miles long, but it has a rich history stretching back to the 1500s when it was discovered by the Spanish. Today, Bermuda is a British overseas territory, and while many people think of Bermuda as a Caribbean island, it's actually 1,000 miles north of the Caribbean in the Atlantic. We head over to Blue Water Divers and meet up with owner Chris Gauntlet.
Hey, Chris. Nice to meet you.
Glad you guys could come.
Here's the whole family. Christine,
Hello.
Liam,
Liam.
and Elise.
Nice to see you. How are you?
Inside the shop, we sign our waivers while first mate Dylan Mulder fills some tanks and loads them on the boat. We set up our gear before we leave the dock. Next, a quick pre-dive safety briefing. Then we're off. Because it's the off-season, we have the boat to ourselves. As the morning clouds clear, it has become a perfect day on the water for our 20-minute ride to the dive site. All the dive sites have permanent mooring lines, so nobody has to throw an anchor onto the reef. Chris gives us a dive briefing.
Moved the rack across the sand hole and wedged it up into the reef.
And then it's time to suit up. The water this time of the year is only 68 degrees Fahrenheit, which isn't exactly tropical, but it's a lot warmer than home. While this time of the year has cooler water, it also has the best visibility. We're talking crystal clear.
The business good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. All right, you ready?
As we submerge, we can see the bottom 80 feet down. Chris leads us over to the wreck of the Hermes. This small ship, originally built for the U.S. Navy, was abandoned in Bermuda when she experienced engine trouble. The government of Bermuda donated the ship for use as an artificial reef. It was sunk intentionally in the mid-1980s and has become one of the most popular dives in Bermuda. This is perfect for the kids' first wreck dive. The deck is only 60 feet deep. We drop down to check out the cargo hold, but it's full of water. We do a good job of silting the place up. The superstructure is wide open and safe to explore, so we can swim through. Chris has a surprise for everyone: the engine room. I'm fascinated filming the generator, but then I realize, hey, they're leaving without me. This is a cool shot, until the lights don't fit. A hurricane pushed the ship right up against the reef, where it's now pretty solidly stuck. Swimming over the deck, we see machinery, but it's hard to tell what it was. There's a big capstan used for hauling up the anchor, and a long boom that was used for loading cargo. It must be super smart because it's covered in brain coral. Chris takes us on a tour around the nearby reef so we can see some coral. Because Bermuda is at the very northern edge of the tropical zone, only a few species of coral live here. But the ones that do seem to be thriving. Due to the warm influence of the Gulf Stream, this is one of the northernmost coral reefs in the world. After a lap around the reef, we head back to the wreck. But as we approach our no decompression limits, it's time to head back to a boat which is still afloat. On the safety decompression stop, the kids battle it out with rock, paper, scissors to see who goes first. It's a little bouncy getting back on the boat. Woohoo! The afternoon winds have calmed, and we have a beautiful flat ride back to the shop. The tide has dropped a few feet since we left, so it's a good thing there's steps in the dock. The wreck of the Hermes is popular for a reason. This classic shipwreck is a great dive for new or experienced divers alike. It's not too deep, can be explored easily and safely, and you can see the whole thing at once through the crystal clear water. Diving in Bermuda is a great way to experience the blue world.